Hello, all you amazing notaries and signing agents. This is the Peak Signing Agent podcast and YouTube channel where I'm providing tips every week to make you the best notary and signing agent that you can possibly be. I'm DVO, Derek Van Otten, the owner of Peak Signing Service, Notary Service. And it's a Saturday. It is a beautiful day to do closings, in my opinion. And that's exactly what I did. I had a couple closings today on a Saturday, and it's a beautiful day. Like I said, I love doing Saturday closings. There was no traffic on the freeway, no traffic whatsoever. The people I've met with have all been in great moods because it's a Saturday morning. So I knocked out two today this morning. Everyone's in a good mood. I'm listening to some good music and just enjoying my day. But it made me think, what if you were out doing a closing on a Saturday or something after hours and a question came up? How would you handle that? At the time of this recording, it is month end, and I'm not doing a ton of personal closings. I get asked to do a lot of last minute Rons at month end, and we get really busy with scheduling. So I try to help my schedulers get things scheduled and look at scans and track orders to make sure they're delivered on time. So I do a lot of admin stuff at month end. But I do closings on the weekends on month end and in the evenings because it's a lot quieter. My offices are closed and they're not really messaging me much during the evening. So I might do it. I might do those during that time. But it made me think. I'm doing a lot of evening closings and weekend closings. I know how to handle questions that come up, but how would you? What if a question came up and you're trying to call the signing service and it's a Saturday or it's 8 p.m. and no one's answering? What do you do? How do you handle that? What if a question comes up and you're just like, I don't know how to answer this question. I don't know the stipulation. They say, hey, what's this fee for? I thought the fee was this amount. Oh, where did this come up? And you're like, I really don't know. So who can you call? What can you do? And no one's answering. Now, first thing you should do is try to call the signing service. If it's a loan, ask them if they have the loan officer's contact. A lot of times the loan officer is staying in contact. Or if it's a purchase and there's a fee they didn't recognize, sometimes their real estate agent might be able to help them as well. Because they have been most likely, and hopefully they've looked at some of the numbers. They looked at the contracts. They saw the settlement statement, the closing disclosure. Before the closing, the real estate agent, the loan officer, and the title company title officer should have all seen the closing disclosure and settlement statement. They should all be aware of all the numbers. So that's who you should probably reach out to: the signing service, the loan officer, the real estate agent. Most likely, in a purchase, they have one of their contacts. Or in a sale, they'll have their real estate agents. They should have those contacts. That is who you want them to reach out to. Now, again, first you want to reach out to the signing service because maybe they have an idea or maybe they can give some guidance. But again, what if they don't answer? Then you ask them to call their agents, real estate, loan officer, title escrow officer, if they have that, and try to reach out that way. That is how you want to get those questions answered. That's who you should be reaching out to. There's a good chance that they have that. But in the likelihood they don't, what do you do? Well, to be honest, there's not a lot you can do if they don't want to sign. You can just say, unfortunately, I don't have the answer for that. If you want, we can just pause on the signing. If you don't have their contact and we can't answer this question, we can just stop it. But just know you won't be able to sell or you won't be able to purchase today. It might not go through right now. And if that's okay with you, then we'll stop right here. And there's not really anything you can do. If they can't get their questions answered and they don't feel comfortable signing, there's not a lot you can do. Just you have to give the update to whoever hired you and give them the update. Unfortunately, they had questions. We couldn't get a hold of anybody. You weren't open. Their agent didn't answer. And so they didn't feel comfortable, so we did not sign. And just have to let them know. Now, as a signing service, I think it's important to have somebody available on the weekends and in the evenings. I think it's important. I've been there where no one answered my phone calls. And I thought, man, what do we do here? So I've been there. I know what it's like. So when I started my signing service, I wanted to be available. And so I'm available. If we have a closing, I kind of pay attention. I pay attention to my calendar of what's going on and say, oh, we do have a closing at this time. So I'll just kind of be aware and have my phone on standby in case they have a question I can help answer. I'm not just sitting on my phone the whole time. During that time, I'm just kind of paying attention in case something comes up. I do know signing services that are larger that have a weekend person. They have hired somebody to work weekends. That's great. If I'm not available, if I'm on a trip, I have someone that's working on a Saturday. If I have like a vacation coming up or a family trip. So I think if you're going to run a signing service, I do think it's important to be available to help out if you can. But let me give you some other tips, especially if you're kind of newer and you're thinking, I don't really know how to answer these questions. I'm not very familiar. I'm not very experienced. Well, what you can do is when you get the job and you notice it's going to be an after hours appointment or a weekend appointment, you can ask who hired you, the title company or the signing service, and say, hey, I do notice this is a Saturday. If questions arise, is there someone that we can contact for help? So that is something you can do when you get the job. You can ask that from who hired you. They might provide you, call my cell phone. Some of my clients, my escrow officers say, and if anything comes up, I know it's a Saturday, if anything comes up, tell them to call me. And I already have all my title officers' phone numbers, but I say, okay, we'll let them know. And I let them call me first, but if I can't answer it, then we've got their contact. Another thing you can do is when you call to confirm the appointment, when you're called the signers to confirm, and say, hey, just to confirm, my name is Derek. I'll be your notary on Saturday at 10 o'clock. Just want to confirm the address. Is this correct? When you're called to confirm, then you might also just want to say, well, I do know this is a Saturday appointment. Looks like you're purchasing or selling. Do you have your agent's or your lender's phone number in case any questions come up while we look over the documents? Do you have their contact? And they might say, yes, I've got their phone number, or yes, I've got it. Say, great. If you want to just tell them that we're all confirmed, and if we have any questions, we'll call them during the time. So that's something you can kind of do to be a little preventative for the future. Just say, hey, I know this is our appointment. Here's the scheduled time, just confirming. And by the way, I do know that this is after hours or this is a Saturday appointment. Do you have your real estate agent's phone number? Do you have your loan officer's phone number, just in case we have questions when I bring over the documents? And it just might help so that they have that information on hand. You never know. So anyway, these are my tips to you, especially if you are not experienced or you're newer, or you're just kind of worried, hey, this might be a little difficult. You can ask who hired you if someone will be available, or ask the signers if they have the contact in that we can call, like a cell phone, to get questions answered. So those are some things you can do if you have an after hours or weekend appointment. And I hope that helps you. And if it does, please follow and subscribe on YouTube and any podcast platform that you like to listen on, and share it again if you know anyone that could benefit from these types of tips. And I do notice when people do tag me or tag my signing service saying, hey, I noticed you asked this question. Hey, you should check out this YouTube channel or this podcast, and your question might be answered there. I really appreciate everyone that shares it so much. And I'll talk to you on a new episode next week. Bye.